Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Risdon from Detroit Lions Podcast and Lions Wire, and we are doing a little video mailbag today. Put this out for the Patreon members of the Detroit Lions Podcast on our Slack channel. Got some very good questions. These are more generic, overarching than dealing with the individual matchups. It's Saturday. It's the day before the Lions host the Bengals in Week 6. It's college football time, so a lot of these have to deal with the draft and long-term strategies. So it's not necessarily like timely that you have to watch this before the Bengals game or anything like that. So with further ado, let's get this going on. I got some very good questions. I'm going to take them here in sort of random order, not in the order that they came in, but start with the draft theme first. This is from Greg Martin. Greg wants to know, you seem pretty clear on the last podcast that you do not want Jared Goff back next year. What if the Lions drafted a raw guy like Malik Willis, who might be better served being the backup in his rookie year? Would you be okay with one more year of Goff in that scenario, or would you just rather have a different guy as a bridge, 1 year stopgap? Malik Willis is not a guy who I think is going to be ready to play next year, and we are going to delve further into this on this coming week's podcast. We have Mark Schofield from Touchdown Wire, good friend of mine, who is going to guest and talk some about Willis and also about Goff, but I guess I will get my answer out there. Goff is fine as a bridge if you're bringing in a developmental quarterback like Willis. In fact, he's probably a necessary evil, and given the cap situation, that is certainly an option that would work. Willis would not be my first choice as the next quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and Goff is also not the first choice for who I would want next. I would prefer to go premium, get a guy that can play right away. That would be my choice. I don't know if they're going to do that. I haven't really gotten any inkling one way or the other on that. Just remember this, though. Dan Campbell, before he was in New Orleans and had Drew Brees, was on a Miami team and was the assistant head coach and interim head coach of a team that was a quarterback away from making a lot of noise in the AFC. He knows what it means to not have the quarterback and have the rest of the team. It doesn't work. If you don't have the quarterback, you do not have a chance. So I would not hesitate and wait. If they feel like Matt Corral or Sam Howell or someone else is the guy at the top of the draft or even late in the first round, I don't have a problem with that. In fact, that would be the course that I would go because if you like them enough and you believe in them, they're certainly going to offer you more long-term than what Jared Goff has shown you in the first 5 games in Detroit, which just isn't good enough. Volume statistics don't impress me much. I want to see him actually do things that attack down the field, make his wide receivers better, look at TJ Hawkinson every now and then, just be better. He's got a chance to even that out over the rest of the season. He doesn't have the best weapons at his disposal, and that leads into a few other questions. So we'll just move on from that one. Next question comes from... where are we at here? Okay. we'll save that one. All right. This is from Jordan. From what we've seen so far from Levi and Ali, that's Onwuzurike and McNeil, the second and third round picks this year, are the Lions, quote-unquote, safe at the interior defensive line positions for the future so that in the upcoming draft and free agency capital can be focused on other positions? Yes, they are. They should be. Especially with a guy like Deshaun Hand, who Jordan also mentions here later, coming back. I don't think he's going to be with the team long-term, but he certainly gives them depth. Look, they can find guys like Kevin Strong. He's got a future if he wants it, if he can stay on the field or get back on the field, as is the case this year. They're fine. John Penei has played decently. It would be nice if they had a little bit more of an upfield rush tackle. Nick Williams is that guy. Right now, he does okay. I think you can find a guy like that later on in the draft. I don't think you need to pay Nick Williams again for what he's getting. But yes, they should be okay on the interior defensive line. Could they get better? Yes. Could they get a little bit deeper? Maybe. Keep in mind, we haven't seen Jayshon Cornell yet. He had a very nice summer. So there's some potential there. So I wouldn't worry too much. If I were prioritizing things, that would be one of the last positions that I would prioritize this coming offseason, either draft or free agency. All right. What else we got here? We got, this is a good one. This one speaks to my heart. Maddie in a World of Mats said, yeah. Do you know of any safeties in the draft that may be available in the 25 to 30 overall range worth taking? That would be the Rams pick. I'm going to broaden it out just a little bit to also include the Lions' second round pick, which is going to be 33 to 35, 36, somewhere in that range. And there are quite a few. I am a big fan of Jalen Catalon of Arkansas. That guy can really play. For whatever reason, I've wound up watching just about every Arkansas game this year. He's a very talented guy. He is eminently worthy of going in that. It's a good year to need safeties, and in that range, there's quite a few guys. In fact, I did a little research and wrote some down here. Jaquan Brisker from Penn State, really, really solid player. Moved kind of a linebacker safety hybrid type, but the Lions happen to need that. That's a guy who's projected generally in the top 40. I actually think he's going to go higher than that, and I think he will be off the board before the Lions make their second pick, but we'll see. You never know how that goes. Let's see who else there is. Daxton Hill from Michigan, having a very quality year. Michigan defensive backs tend to get, for whatever reason, that they wind up playing well in college and then they get obscured when they get to the draft time. Guys like, other than Jabril Peppers, who went in the first round. And I think Hill's a better cover safety, very different type of player than what you got from Jabril Peppers. That's a guy that could be considered there. I'll give you a guy that I like later. Trey Sterling from Oklahoma State. Really good playmaking safety. Does have his warts. Is not the most fluid athlete guy, but this is a guy, third, fourth round who can come in and contribute right away and be an upgrade over Will Harris, although that's not really saying a lot. So I do like the safeties quite a bit in this draft. And that actually leads into another question, and I didn't write down who wrote this one, but they asked me, what are the strengths of the draft in this class? And safety is one of them. I wrote down 3: safety, pass rush, and wide receiver. Now, wide receiver comes with a bit of an asterisk. There's not a top-end premium, no Julio Jones, nobody like that in this draft. No Calvin Johnson, nobody of that ilk. There's a lot of guys that fall in that, 25 to 75 overall range, which is where the Lions are going to have some picks. A guy like Trayvon Burks from Arkansas, who I mentioned I've watched quite a bit. There's quite a few guys that are in there. John Mechie out of Alabama is going to fit in that. I do think my number one receiver is Chris Olave out of Ohio State. He's going to be gone. He should not be in competition for the Lions' first pick either. That's too high. He's really good, but he's not that good. There are other spots. Pass rush is probably the highest top end quality. You do get Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously, and I'm recording this on Saturday morning. I did watch last night what he did against Cal, and my goodness, guys who know me know that I'm a huge Myles Garrett fan. There's a lot of Myles Garrett to Kayvon Thibodeau. I think Myles Garrett's a little stronger and probably a little bit quicker with his first step, but it's close enough that you got to consider this guy with the number 1 overall pick if the Lions get it. He's really impressive, but there's a slew of other guys that can contribute in the first, second, and third rounds that are going to be quality NFL pass rushers. It's a good year to need them, and the Lions need them. So there you go. Safety also, obviously, Hamilton at the top from Notre Dame. It's a little early for him at 1, 2, or 3, but it's not absurd. It's a better choice than taking Jeff Okudah at number 3 in the same sort of circumstance, where you really you have a dire need there for an upgrade, an impact position on your defense. And yes, safety is an impact position on the defense. We've seen with Tracy Walker's recent uptick in play how much better the Lions defense looks when you have a good safety. Give him another one back there. My goodness, Aaron Glenn could really be in business there. So that would be where I would lean on those. This is a good one. This is from Sam. This veers off topic a little bit, but I like it because it is fairly relevant today. Has a year of COVID enforced had any sustained influence on media-player interaction? And what's the best tidbit you've heard about locker room dynamics this season? It's harder. One of the things that we used to do was when players would walk off the practice field, we would have access to them. You could walk along, walk and talk, put the camera up and record a little bit, get a little bit of a soundbite. And you can't really do that anymore. When they go inside to practice at Allen Park, you really don't have access to them much at all, other than what the team gives you. We do have better access than I expected to the players after practices. Eamon Reynolds and the Lions media team have done a fantastic job of making those guys as available as possible. And by and large, most of the guys are pretty darn willing to talk. They appreciate it too. They missed it too. They won't tell you that they missed it, but they missed it. As far as tidbits in the locker room, the only thing that I've really picked up, and I'll admit, I have not been in Allen Park since week 2, after week 2, and I probably won't get over there again this year, barring an unforeseen Thanksgiving trip or something like that. First off, Jamal Williams is just a cut-up, but the overriding things that I've taken away when I have interacted with players sort of behind the scenes and what I've filtered through some other people who do have better access than I do, is that the players are 100% behind Dan Campbell. And the crying game that came after the loss to Minnesota, that was real, it was genuine, and the players effing loved it. Especially the guys who were here the year before and a couple of years before that. It resonated with them very strongly. They are ready to go win for coach. And he cried about how much he wanted the players to get the win. Well, the players respect that and they want to reciprocate that. So expect, if they win, for a lot of players to be in tears for Dan Campbell. Don't be surprised by that at all if that happens. So that's a good question. That's something that doesn't get talked up enough, is the loss of direct contact that those of us in the media have. Especially like the beat guys like Burkett and Rogers, they don't have the access that they used to, unfortunately, and it does. It changes the quality. I don't know if it downgrades the quality. It just makes you look for stories in a little bit of a different way. So that's a good one. This is a good one. This was from Patrick Stoddard, and this is one that I think this was actually the first one that came in. In 5 years, do you think the Lions fans would rather have Penei Sewell as their starting tackle or Justin Fields as their starting quarterback? I don't think this is even much of a question. It's going to be Justin Fields. And some of that is based on the fact that the fan base is already souring on Penei Sewell because they bought hook, line, and sinker into the fact that this guy was going to Canton before he ever took a freaking snap. Shame on the people in the media who purveyed him as this flawless prospect. And shame on those who slammed me for pointing out that he might not be perfect. I'm not going to revel in that because I do like Penei Sewell. I think he's doing okay. I think he needs to move back to right tackle. I think that's his long-term home. We have discussed in the Slack channel, and I've discussed it on the podcast as well, why I'm a very firm believer in that. He is not an NFL left tackle, at least not a great one. He could be a great NFL right tackle. He's off to a rough start. He's playing out of position. He's still the youngest player in the NFL. He's learning. He is getting better at some things, but his head's spinning. I think he will be fine in the long term. But when we look, and like we're debating now, what quarterbacks do we want in the upcoming draft? If you have Justin Fields, you don't have these problems. I know he hasn't been great for Chicago yet, but their offensive line is not good. Their receiving core doesn't help him a lot. Their play calling certainly doesn't help him a lot. If you watched their Cleveland game, you would know that. I think Justin Fields is still going to be a legitimate star in the NFL. I think he's going to be the one that we lament got away. So irrespective of how you feel about Penei Sewell and the fact that Justin Fields is with the Bears, I think might add a little extra salt into that wound, unfortunately. But yes, I do. I would absolutely think that I'll even say 3 years down the road, a lot of people are going to be kicking themselves for their stance on Justin Fields because he went to Ohio State, because he didn't necessarily have the breadth of experience that you would want, just because they didn't like him. I think that's going to be one of those stances that's going to be harder to defend in a couple of years. I could be wrong. He could wind up washing out. You never know. But I think Chicago's very happy with it, and I think Detroit would have been very happy in having him too. One other question. What was the other one? All right. This is from Tim O. This is a good question. Who, in your opinion, is the best UDFA signing of the Lions, and how high are the chances that one of them will be a long-term starter in the NFL? Well, we got one in Jerry Jacobs, a friend of the podcast, Jerry Jacobs. He's starting right now due to injuries, obviously. And actually, another question came up, and I don't remember who did it because I wound up fritzing with my phone. Somebody asked me about Ifeatu Melifonu's injury. I don't expect him back before at least week 10, if not later. He had a very severe thigh injury. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a quick heal, and it wouldn't surprise people in the building if he was out for the rest of the season. Which means you're going to see a lot more of Jerry Jacobs, the undrafted free agent from Arkansas State. He traveled around. Look, he's doing really well. He's got his hands full with Jamar Chase tomorrow. Hopefully that goes okay. But he's got the athleticism and the attitude. Look, this is a guy who fell a little bit between the cracks because he bounced around. He opted out. He talked about that on the podcast when we interviewed him for the first time. This is a guy who probably deserved to get drafted based on what he had and what his college experience was and what his athleticism was as a third or a fourth round guy. So getting him there, yes, I do think that Jerry has a chance to stick for a long time. I also think A.J. Parker has a chance to stick for a long time as the slot corner. He's had his lumps, but again, this is an undrafted rookie. And by the way, he wasn't great at Kansas State. His tape said undrafted rookie. So he's playing a little bit over his head. It's great. He's learning. He's improving. So that's a keeper. I will just lay this out as a bit of a prophecy. Remember back right after the draft, everybody was so excited. Oh my God, we got Sage Surratt. We got Javon McKinley. We got Jonathan Williams. We got 3 wide receivers undrafted who could make the team. 2 of them are already out of the NFL. And Javon McKinley has been on the Lions and off almost as much as Andre Fluellen in his career through the first 6 weeks of the season. So be a little wary about proclaiming greatness for the undrafted free agents before they actually play. We got fooled this year. It wound up being the defensive backs were great, and the wide receivers that everybody lauded didn't work out so well. That's just the way it is. I still like Craig Reynolds as the running back. He looked very good in the preseason. This is a guy who busts his butt in practice. I know he gets rave reviews from the coaching staff. Specifically, Deuce Staley likes him a lot. This is a guy that's going to stick around. I don't know if he's ever going to get up on the active roster because they burned a draft pick on Jermar Jefferson, who can't even get active on game days. So it's tough to project Craig getting an impact. But this is a guy that's going to stick around the NFL for a while. They like what they've got in him, too. With that, we'll call it a day. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Be sure to keep tuning in. We will have, again, Mark Schofield will be our special guest this week, talking quarterbacks, talking golf, what he sees, what he'd like to see, and also all the draft. And, again, keep going with the pies for St. Jude's charity. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I missed out on it last year doing the telethon and fundraising. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing that the first weekend in November when the Lions are on a bye. Keep checking back for that, and thanks.